What is going on, y'all? We are here in the new year 2026, here to talk about Real Madrid. Good things, bad things. Talking about how the 2025 season went. Few grades. We're going to be professors today. We're going to be professors. We're going to talk about some grading. We're going to see how these guys did. We're going to talk about some predictions. And we're going to talk about some changes that needs to be done. Thank you so much for joining me today. Subscribe, like, comment, share this with a friend. Let's get right into it. Alright, like we said, 2025 report card. We're going to grade these boys. We're going to give them A, B, C, D, E, F. So, let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. The first, I'm going to go with the best player of the season. Pretty simple. I think it's between these two. I mean, honestly, our defensive back line was so bad. It was abysmal. If it wasn't for Courtois, I don't know. Like, we would have probably gotten. I mean, I think we lose. We lost 2-5 to Barcelona. It would have been like 2-9. We lost 5-1 in aggregate to Arsenal. It would have been like 8-1. It would have been so much worse. Courtois literally pulled through for us. I mean, I think his best performance was probably that Liverpool game where we were just absolutely abysmal, and he was again just. Liverpool fans really gotta hate Courtois, man. I mean, he's just the absolute worst of them. Then the other one is Mbappe. I mean, he has been everything good at our attack. He is, obviously the most informed player in our attack right now. I think Rodrigo's getting up there. The injury kind of slowed things down, but I do have belief. I have belief Vinny Jr. is going to come into form again this year. All three of them are going to be in form. It's going to be wonderful. Worst player. Where do we even start? There's most of the team is candidates for this one, but it's just got to go to the entire defensive back line. I mean, I guess it excludes Trent and Carvajal because those two were injured. Mendy was injured most of the year. Alaba was injured most of the year, but it includes all of them, I think, because the best ability is availability, and none of these guys were available. And the ones that were available were just trash. I mean, I feel bad for Lucas Vazquez. Cafucas, he really killed it for us, as a right winger, as a super sub. But man, poor guy got thrown in as a starter when Carvajal went down, and it was just bad. There was just nothing good about that. They get an F. They get an F straight up, the entire defensive back line. I mean, if they were available, they were dumb. They were making stupid mistakes. They were passing the ball to the other team. They were giving the ball away in bad spots. They were not defending well. They were committing fouls constantly. They were conceding penalties, conceding red cards. It was just terrible performance. Just the entire defensive back line. They don't deserve anything. I think the next one is going to be best signing, and it just can't be anyone besides the man Alvaro Carreras. I mean, he has been, ever since he's come in, he has given us so much stability on that left side. I mean, going forward, we haven't had a left back go forward like that since Marcelo, pretty much. I mean, the attacking prowess that he provides in ball progression, crossing, overlapping runs, it's just absolutely unbelievable. And he's available. He doesn't get injured. Oh my God, knock on wood. He is very, very good, and defensively maybe not as good as a Mendy, but I can't complain. I mean, he's a lot better defensively than Fran Garcia was, that's for sure. So can't complain. I mean, he's been slotting in as center back too when needed. He's been our best signing by far. And our worst signing, this is tough. Franco, in my opinion, I just didn't see the point of signing him because it felt like the reason why they signed him was so that he could be, what's the best way to put it? He could be a right winger. He is a left-footed player. He could cut in from the right and he could shoot. That's what they were going for. But if you watch Franco River play, he was a center attacking mid, and we have an abundance of those. So it just didn't make any sense to me. I feel bad saying it because he is so good at pressing, but I mean, it feels like that's all he really provides in that role because he's not a natural winger and he's just kind of figuring it out. I know we're signing is harsh because I really do want him to succeed. I mean, he is our player, so I want him to succeed. It's just the signing made no sense to me. It's just one of those signings where I was like, do we really need this? Is this, what is this gonna do for us? So that's just my opinion on it. I do like him though. I really do want him to succeed because I think he's a special talent. For coaching, I think they get a C. It's tough. It's really really tough in my opinion because I think if Ancelotti had healthier team, maybe if Rudiger wasn't injured pretty much the entire second half of the season last year, so it'd be basically the first half of 2025, right? He would have played a lot better. He played injured the entire time, and it was just costing us games. I mean, you got to think about it, right? We were very close to winning the Copa del Rey final. We were very close to winning La Liga. We lost by thin margins. Not really thin margins. We lost because of injuries, and I can't really blame Ancelotti for that. I mean, you can sit here and you can tell me, oh well, this happened or that happened. We conceded so many goals. I mean, think about how we conceded those goals. Were they really Ancelotti's fault? I mean, Ancelotti in that specifically that 4-3 Barcelona game, right? I mean, we scored 3 goals. I mean, defensively, we were conceding goals that we should have never been conceding. We were giving the ball away in terrible spots. You can't blame Ancelotti for that. There's not much more he can do. And similar to that, I think Xabi Alonso, there's only so much blame I can give him. The entire team is injured. The entire backline, sorry. It's injured. It's not available. He's working with a makeshift backline. Neither Xabi Alonso nor Ancelotti had that deep line playmaker. They had to kind of make something work, and against the big teams, it doesn't really work. Against the smaller teams, it did, sure, but against the bigger teams, it was a bigger problem. And then the board, they get a C too. I think they did not address the problem of the back line. I think obviously they signed Howson, they signed Trent, they signed Carreras, which was good, but I think they should have signed one more center back. I think that was something they missed out on. I think they also missed out on the fact that we should have signed a deep line playmaker this summer, and they did not sign that. I think they did a good job signing Dean Howson, Trent, Carreras. Those were great signings. Those were fantastic signings, but I just feel like they should have addressed the backline a little bit more. Maybe instead of buying Franco, they could have bought another center back. That would have addressed a lot of our problems. And then maybe they could have bought a deep line playmaker, somebody like Adam Wharton, for example. They could even have bought Keith Smith last summer and just kind of, let him develop or whatever it was, if that's who they're interested in. Even I think Angelo Stiller was available at one point, but I don't know, he's kind of a little shaky, so I understand why they didn't buy him. But at the same time, they did buy a very young, talented center back. They bought a very good, young, talented left back, and we know what Trent is. We don't need to sit here. He's world class. He just needs to get healthy. So they get a C. A lot of these kind of go hand in hand with each other, but I think a lot of the players putting their own self-interest above the badge, and I have both Mbappe and Vinny on here. The reason why I have Mbappe on there with the injury picture is because he put the record above the team, right? I mean, he wanted to break the record so bad he played injured, and now he's injured for even longer. Now the team needs him, and he won't be there. And then with Vinny, the way he acted in the Clasico, and just in general, his dispute with Xabi Alonso, getting taken off, stuff like that. It just feels like a lot of the players recently have been putting themselves above the badge. Not a fan of that personally. I feel like they should really be putting the badge above themselves because we need to win, and their individual accolades are obviously important to them and it means a lot to them, but the team accolades matter more. Kind of going hand in hand with that, I think this is kind of a situation we're in right now, right? Where this league now is not, or not just this league, this sport in general. It's not an individual sport anymore. It is a coaches league now. I mean, I have these coaches listed over here. Vincent Company could go on here as well. It is a coaches sport now. There's not that many times anymore where we see an individually brilliant performance. It's very tough to do that now because now you have these managers who have systematically set up their team. They're defending systematically. They're attacking systematically. They use analytics to figure out which passes to make and which passes not to make, where to shoot the ball from, which zone to shoot the ball from, which to not shoot the ball from. It's become a very, very cerebral sport, and the coach is a very, very important part of it. So I think the biggest thing that Real Madrid can do is back up the coach. I mean, Xabi Alonso, for example, right? I mean, I don't know what happened, behind closed doors, but it didn't seem like Xabi Alonso had much of a backing when that whole Vinny thing went down in the El Clasico. It didn't seem like it because ever since then he feels like he's just letting the players do whatever he wants, and he's just not even, implementing his system anymore, and that's not where we should be headed towards. because we need him to implement the system. We need him to be in these tactical battles. That's the way forward now. It's the way forward is not to rely on an individual to dribble past everyone and score. That's just not going to happen anymore. We need the system, specifically I think defensively, because of how many weaknesses we have defensively. We need to defend as a system, and it's just not going to happen unless the coach gets the backing. And kind of also going alongside with that, the team needs to decide, the board needs to decide that if you're going to sign young players, right? I mean, Keith Smith is apparently somebody that Real Madrid wants to sign in kind of that pivot role, and then Franco, Hausen, among other people, Arda Güler, picture I forgot to include. If the board wants to sign these people, then they should be patient with younger players. I mean, you gotta grow with them. There's gonna be growing pains with a young center back trying to figure out how to play that role. The experience that he needs to gain in that time period. Keith Smith, I mean, he might come in. He's exceptionally talented, but he might struggle against big teams. He might struggle being that pivot against big teams. So Real Madrid needs to decide, are you going to be fine investing in these younger players and then back the coach when these younger players are learning and maybe not performing as well? Or what are you going to do? Are you just going to give up on them and then sign more experienced players, ready-made players? But if you're going to do that, then do that to begin with. Don't just sign younger players and then when they're not doing well because they need experience to grow, to become better, then you blame it on the coach, and then it's kind of like the coach is forced to play players, more experienced players out of position and trying to figure out how to win. So back the coach, and if you're going to sign younger players, then be patient with them. Be patient with the coach because the coach can only do so much. If you're going to not be patient with them, then sign more experienced players. Simple as that. There needs to be a commitment to one or the other. And then the final thing. These guys need to leave. Straight up. Fran Garcia, thank you for your service. Adios. Denis Ceballos, thank you for your service. Adios. David Alaba, I literally don't know what you did after the 2021-2022 season. I literally have no clue. I feel like you've been injured every single week since then. I mean, you're taking, the second most salary out of the entire team, so good for you. You raked it in. You got Champions League out of it. But I don't know. You can go Rudiger. Feel weird about because he was very good for us in that Champions League run in 23-24. He was very he put in a lot of work, so I feel like if he is one that can regain his form and kind of recover from that knee injury, then yeah, he can stay. But as of right now, I feel like he should go too. But the other three need to go. There's just no use of them. They don't really bring anything to the team that helps the team. They hurt the team more than anything else. I mean, Alaba doesn't even play. He's just clogging the roster, and then the board wants another center back, and we need another center back that's available. Fran Garcia, I feel like every time he comes on, we lose the game. Ceballos, I mean, he's the only player we have in that deep-lying playmaker role, but he's not good enough. His legs are gone. He's not good enough in bigger games for it to even matter, and for that matter, he's not even good enough in smaller games. I don't know. He doesn't really provide much anymore, so I don't really know. Moving on to predictions. So this is going to be interesting. I think this is what I have. I have the fixtures that are left pretty much for the rest of the season. Obviously there's a Super Copa. We have a few Champions League matchups in there as well. And here's what I think is going to happen. Here's what my prediction is. And these are going to be some real bold predictions. So, buckle up. So I only put in some predictions for the league matches. I didn't do anything for, the Super Copa and the Champions League matches because those are so variable, But league matches, this is what I have. We lose a few, we tie a few, we win most, and I think the way I calculated it ends up being that we finish the league with about 88 points, which should give us the league title. Yes, I think we are going to win the league title. I think we're going to win the Copa del Rey, and I think we're going to win the Super Copa. What? Have you seen this team? You really think this is going to happen? Yes, I do. I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to win all three trophies. We're not going to win the Champions League. I know it. Our team is not good enough to do it. It's not good enough to do it. But winning the league, a lot of it comes down to beating the smaller teams. It comes down to beating the smaller teams, and as long as we can beat the smaller teams, we can get through and we can win the league title. We beat Barcelona, so. But like, I guess they're a small team, right? So it doesn't matter. I think over the next, few weeks, now that we're back, coming back this Sunday against Betis, I think this is how Xabi Alonso is going to line up. He's going to go for that midfield diamond with Camavinga, Tchouameni, Arda Güler, or Jude Bellingham. I think the back line is going to be roughly the same. I mean, we have so many injuries. Militao is not there. Trent's not there. This is probably what the back line is going to look at. And then these are probably the players that are going to switch around. But I think this is probably what Xabi Alonso is going to go with for, the future. The next, 3 weeks until Mbappe returns. I don't know. I personally would probably go with something more like this. I kind of want to see Gonzalo playing. And then I put an Arda Güler here, but this is not necessarily, just for him. Maybe you can play Camavinga here. Maybe you can even try the younger kid, Thiago Petarch. You could see what he does. Maybe he's really good. And he could fix a lot of our problems with control in the midfield. So if he's, I think we should test him out at least. So I think this is what I would prefer, because I kind of want to see how Gonzalo, Vinny, Rodrigo work together. Kind of with that target man for the two of them. I think they might excel more with that. But I guess we'll see. And then I think this is probably what our best lineup looks like when Mbappe and Militao and Trent does return. I think this lineup could do a lot of damage if we have them all healthy and playing. And it's just, are we going to have them? I really hope so. That is all I had for you today. Let me know how you would grade the 2025 calendar year for Real Madrid. Let me know what your predictions are. If you agree with mine, if you agree with my grading, if you agree that things to change, let me know what you think. Subscribe, like, comment, share with a friend, share with lots of friends. Thank you so much for joining me.